doing? It's been a while since we've done this, and I'm pretty excited. I don't see anybody quite yet. I'm a little early, but I'm really excited to talk about my new projects that I've got coming up and to just chat with everybody in general. It's been a while since we've gotten together, and I miss you. I haven't had any new audiobooks out lately. There's been some, troubles in turn two, but everything's back on track, and I've just been burying myself writing mostly. So that's kind of the end of it. I actually had some things I did want to tell you about. I wrote them down so I don't forget because I'm like that. And I wanted to talk about some of my favorite characters, side characters actually. I decided I'm doing this special thing. It's a Kickstarter, and if you haven't heard of Kickstarter, it's kind of like like a crowdfunding thing, except for it's to back actual projects. Think of like the inventor type deal. And what I've decided to do is when I first came up with the story of Champagne Witches, that the story on the Shot of Midlife Magic series, I had a little more steam in mind for it. I'd kind of planned to step over a little more into the romance side of it, lean a little harder into that, but I didn't. I needed at that point to release something that everybody loved, and I know not everybody loves romance or steam or a little bit of bartender language. So I kept it a little cleaner than what I'd originally intended. But um, now what I'm doing in this special Kickstarter is I'm bumping up the steam level. I'm writing them exactly the way I had kind of pictured them in my mind. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the books in their current iteration, and I know that they're really popular and that you guys love them too. But I just kind of want to stretch my wings a little bit. So I'm going to do that and see how it goes. And if you'd like to back my project, I'll go ahead and put it in, in the link. I'm going to give away a lot of cool swag too. There's going to be 3 special edition novellas written from Ronan's point of view, Alexa's point of view, and Caitlin's point of view. I'm sorry. And then I'm going to give away some really cool swag too. There's going to be a really, really awesome illustrated print that I had a really talented artist. I'd never worked with her before, and I found her via Facebook, and she created this incredible print that I will show off in the Kickstarter, and I'll probably show it. I'll definitely show it to you guys at some point too. But I'm going to do a wine tumbler in one of the kits and a couple of the kits, and of course the hardbacks and paperbacks, and they're all going to have sprayed edges and holographic covers and slip cases. It's really cool looking holographic slip cases. And then the hardbacks are also going to have the dust jacket, which is pretty cool. I'm considering doing a double sided so that there's none of that, let's not waste any space. Let's put cool stuff everywhere. And they're also going to have a bookmark insert. So that'll be cool. And then that's about it on it. But I'm sure I'm forgetting some really cool swag. Oh, Regina Welling is hand making me some really like awesome bookmarks, and she's going to do some coasters, laser engraved with the Shot of Midlife Magic logo on them. And then what else? She's doing some cool stuff. And hey, Kathy, hey, Rose, how are you doing? Aw, that's okay, Rose. Hopefully, we'll get a few people showing up. And then, Kathy, do you have any questions? Come on, hit me with something. Oh, I'll put you on the spot. I'm sorry. Anyway, I guess let's go back to what projects I have in mind upcoming. The new Soul Keeper, excuse me, the new series in the Soul Keeper. No, it's okay. I type quickly, but I make a lot of typos when I do. So it's better to type slowly than to type like I do. And for some reason, my phone has started auto correcting that to "thar" like I'm a pirate. I don't know. I guess maybe it's been reading reading some of the stuff I've been writing in the new Jules book about the pirates. Anyway, that's coming up. But first, before that's coming up, I am releasing Demons in Discord, the second book in the Soul Keeper series. That will be the beginning of this month. And then Keyhole, I'll release a new Keyhole Lake series next month. And then after that will be, I'm hoping maybe next month to release the new Jules book as well. Kind of one of the reasons I'm doing the Kickstarter is because I want more audiobooks. So if I if I get enough pledges from that, backers from that, then I'll be able to put more stuff into audio. Right now that's really my main focus is getting stuff in audio, because I know that you guys love it. Everybody loves audio, and it's becoming a really popular theme. So, that's kind of my goal. In theory, I would not in theory, in reality, I would like to get all the Keyhole books finished. I'd like to get the latest Midlife Magic book finished, and I'd like to get the Enchanted Coast series finished. Beyond that, I'm not sure what I want to put in next. I'm probably going to start with books that I start going forward, like with series that I start going forward. You know what, Kathy? She said that sorry, I've got something in my eye. She said that she has a little bit of problems concentrating to read. I am like that with a lot of things too, especially if there's noise. My head can't focus on more than, like, if there's extraneous noise, I can't focus to read. I can, for some reason, block everything out for television. From watching TV, I can kind of tune everything out. But reading, I have to have absolute quiet, and it has to be something I'm really interested in. And a couple of people I know, I'm not going to call them out because it's embarrassing for them too, but they can't read at all. They can read, but they have no retention whatsoever. So they like the audiobooks too, because they can listen to the story much better than they can follow along. So I can really relate to that. That's an issue a lot of people have. You'd be surprised. And Rose, I wish you could talk. We haven't spoken in so long that I miss everybody. I really was looking forward to this hangout, but I also know it's at an early time, and we have a lot of people on the West Coast still at work. So even kind of the Midwest, because it's pretty early. We usually do them a lot later. Kathy, if I could do Keyhole first or the next Midlife Magic book next, which one would you prefer to see in audio? And I'll give you a second, because I know that you said you like type a little slower, but or would you like to see me finish out the Enchanted Coast? That's an option too, because those are the 3 series that I have up. I've debated doing the Keyhole. Okay, that's actually probably what most people would say. The Midlife Magic is really super popular, but everybody seems to love Keyhole. And I've actually considered wrapping it up in a couple of books, because I don't want it to go on too long. I don't want it to be like the series that I want it to go out while everybody loves it. I don't want it to just kind of trickle away and die because all the story's been told. But, like those series, you watch a series and you go, they should have really stopped it at season 4. They should not have gone to season 7 on it. But okay, so Kathy, Tim was an absolute doll. He knows these make me nervous, so he did up a list of questions for me. What character in any of my series do you relate most closely to? I know it's a tough question because I have a lot, but that's not a bad idea. Kathy said I could conclude it, but leave it open in case I wanted to write more in it. That's actually really good, because, hey, Mike, what's up? I know it's been a long time since I've been here. I miss everybody. So I asked everybody earlier. Hey, Jamie. Yes, the resort, Enchanted Coast, absolutely. That one's those are really easy for me to write for some reason. I can really relate to her. So that's going to be upcoming soon. I can write that quickly. And a lot of times I'll even kind of veer off if I get stuck on another book. I'll veer off and write some in one of the Enchanted Coast books. And that's kind of how I keep them going, because between that and I also still do some editing for other people, because that's kind of a palate cleanser. It kind of resets my brain when I get stuck. And before you guys got here, I asked which book you'd like to see next in audio. So, Jamie, I'm assuming that's going to get more. Oh, are you talking about the Enchanted Coast, which is the cozy one, or are you talking about the paranormal women's fiction one, the Shot of Midlife Magic? The Enchanted Coast? Okay, got awesome. Yeah, I try to keep those standalone so that anybody that comes in, there's a main storyline going through them, but you can pick up anywhere in the series. I try to actually keep all my books like that. If I don't know if anybody's noticed, but I always do like a brief introduction instead of just saying, Rayanne. I say, when I first mention her, I'll say my cousin Rayanne, so that anybody that picks up the book, just that one, say you start at book 10, then you still know who everybody is. Um, some people complain and say, I don't know why you introduce everybody every book, but that's why. And oh, look, this is one of the tumblers. I know you guys, a lot of you guys weren't here, so I don't know if, yeah, a lot of you weren't here. This is I made it myself. I mean, I got the cup, but then I had these stickers printed just because I'm a sticker person. I love stickers. And Regina Welling she has all this fancy equipment. She can actually sublimate and paint it right onto the cup. And she can also laser print it. So I'm doing a Kickstarter. And a lot of the reason I'm doing it, if you don't know what a Kickstarter is, it's a crowdfunding type thing. It's not like GoFundMe, because GoFundMe is just giving money. Kickstarter is actually for projects. It's like for books, or for if you want to invent a kit, the special helmet that, a special set of earphones that, you can tune into all your radio stations, just anything fancy, anything not fancy, anything inventive that you want to bring up. And books are becoming really big on there. So what I've decided to do is a Kickstarter on the Shot of Midlife Magic series. Originally, oh, you want the cousins in one? There's actually a couple little novellas that I should probably put into audio that have all three of them in it. I just haven't had those made into it yet. I can't think of the name of them off the top of my head, but I will put them in the description when I'm finished. But I'll work to get those in. And Kathy says they're okay to stand alone, but right, exactly. The Keyhole books were my first love. Those Noelle she's been with me through the whole thing. She's the first book I wrote, and to be honest, which is Sweet Murder, is probably one of the books I'm most proud of. A lot of authors say, oh, if you go back and read your first book 5 years after you've been writing, you're going to see how much garbage it is. And I don't. I am so proud of that book. Still to this very day, I'm proud of that entire series. There's a couple that were written a little more quickly in other series that I'm not quite as happy with. I mean, there's still good stories. Everybody seems to like them, but it's just personally, how we all see the flaws in our own stuff. I'm not as happy with those. But it worked out and the stories were okay. I'm happy with the stories. I'm not happy with how long the books were. I would have preferred to have fleshed out things a little more. Yeah, Mike, you're one of my biggest. You've been with me since the very, very, very beginning. Has anybody else been here since I first wrote Sweet Murder? Because I know Mike started right with me. Oh, cool, Jamie. It's good to hear. Somebody said the other day, well, we have a female readership. Why do you address things, to guys too? And I'm like, I don't have a solely female readership. I've got a lot of guys that read my stuff. So I guess things are more specific. And I've also found out that a lot of guys really like the romance novels. And I've actually had some guys, some of my guy readers reach out and say, hey, how about writing something with a guy sleuth, or with a guy, from a guy's point of view? And I've considered that. I know actually on the backwards way, I know a good friend of mine. I'm not going to out him, but he writes as a female. He uses a female pen name because it's a cozy, and his stuff is like you would never know. He is an amazing writer, and he nails the female perspective. There's none of the like preconceived stuff that you think from a guy's point of view. He nails it. He's one of the best authors I know. Yeah. Yeah, Mike. Women, I think it's because women kind of tend to, we lean a little softer maybe, but you'd actually be surprised how many guys write the cozy mysteries under female pen names. It was shocking to me when I found out I went to a big conference, and when I found out, yeah, hey, I'm, you know, Susie Q. I write the X mysteries, and like it might be this. One of them was this just big tall guy, like 6'4", and young. He was maybe early, late 20s, early 30s, and I would have never guessed because I was reading some of his. They're paranormal cozies. I would have never guessed. I was floored because he's like, yeah, I know. He said, but I was afraid if I wrote under a guy's pen name that nobody'd read it. Which, I mean, it's just like with Nora Roberts, where she started writing under the pen name to write the guy stuff at first, because I was a huge fan of hers back just when she was writing romance. And when she switched to the Rob pen name, she did that intentionally because especially back then, there was a big misconception. Guys didn't want to read an action book written by a woman. Yeah, I actually started a series that was supposed to be a normal cozy because at the time everybody's like, "Hey, that's what's selling the best. You should write them," and blah blah blah. It was back when the paranormal cozies were kind of new. For anybody that missed it, Mike said for some reason he can't. He doesn't really care for the straight cozies, but I tried to write it, and danged if a ghost didn't sneak into it. Like it was the haunted lodge series. Actually, that book was supposed to be a straight cozy series, which I also need to go back and finish that series. It hasn't gotten any love in a couple of years, but yeah, that series was supposed to be a straight cozy mystery series. There wasn't supposed to be any magic at all, and daggone if I didn't slip. Like, she just showed up. I couldn't not write her in. She was like, hello, I'm here, can't you see me? I know you can see me. And so in she went. Yeah, Amanda is good. Amanda's actually a good friend of mine. She's an incredible talent, and she writes so quickly. She knows her stories inside out, and she has so many ideas, and she does a bang up job. I wish that I could write like she does. But she's very dedicated. She sits down, she makes sure she gets her work done every day, and then she does whatever she wants to do. And if everybody had that kind of dedication, they wouldn't be. No, but I don't think anybody could write like Amanda. Amanda's unique. Amanda is Amanda. I don't think anybody could write with the speed and the skill that she does. Not at once. You might be able to write something that fast, but can you write something good that fast? Probably not. So, but yeah, she's a favorite of mine too, Mike. And she's a really cool chick too. See if make sure I didn't miss anything. Um, okay, so if I were to, I'll go back to the Kickstarter. I started explaining it. Anyway, in the Kickstarter, what I decided to do originally, the Enchanted Coast, and I know Kathy, you were already here for it, and Rose. Originally, the Kickstarter or the Shot of Midlife Magic series was supposed to have a lot bigger romance element in it, and it was It's going to be a little steamier too. It was kind of, I've always wanted to write a romantasy series, which is romance and fantasy. And I thought that would be perfect for it. Yeah, Janie, a lot of, see, that's my problem. And yeah, see, that's my thing. The woman has to be strong. I can't read a lot of romances because of the whole, oh. And I also can't do the unrealistic sex scenes either, where she's this princess and just even when they're weak in general, I can't. I'll get to 2 chapters into it and go, nope. I probably have more romance books on my Kindle than anything that I've not finished. But I just, if it's not a strong character, and the man too, but they both need to be strong character people, or else I can't read it. I can't do wimps. I can't do doormats, and that might just be because at one point in my life I kind of was a doormat, and I worked really hard to not be that. So I think that I think that's why the midlife books appeal to me so much, is because you by the time you hit 30 or 40, late 30s, early 40s, you're starting to really understand who you are. And that's, everybody says, "Oh, you're an adult at 18." Yeah, but no, you've still got your adult skin that you really need to grow into, and you got to get some experience under your belt before you can. But as far as the Kickstarter, there's two. I'm redoing the books. Okay, I'm completely redoing them. Not completely. They'll still be the same story, but I'm adding a lot of cutscenes. And for one version, it's still going to be cozy, but there's going to be a lot of cutscenes. There's going to be some adjustments that I make that, just like I was saying earlier, you go back and read things and go, I kind of wish I'd have done it this way. So I'm kind of revamping the cozy ones. So I'll be offering the cozies in paperback with a really super cool holographic cover. Regina Welling, she's the one that does the covers for those, and she redesigned the covers for them just for this special edition. So they will be available in paperback. The hardbacks are stupidly crazy expensive. So I decided to do those in paperback, but then there will also be a steamy version, and those will be available in paperback and hardcover. And they're going to have the holographic covers, the sprayed edges, the bookmarks in the hardcovers, the slip cases, the whole 9 yards. But my main goal with that is to earn enough money to get more stuff into audio. So that's my main goal with it, because right now, audiobooks are super expensive to make. The cheapest audiobook I think I've ever had made was like $1,200, and the most expensive one was $2,500. So, coming up with that kind of money, and of course, a narrator can do one in a couple weeks if they're really good. So, coming up with that kind of money is tough. That's a lot of cash. So if I can get this Kickstarter funded successfully, and if you guys want to support me on it at all, I'll go ahead and put a link in the bottom underneath. And right now it's not live until Friday, but you can go on and follow it, and then they'll send you an email when it goes live. So there's going to be a lot of cool swag on there too, not just the books. I'm going to do a smaller version of this. I'm going to do a wine tumbler. Regina Welling is doing some really cool coasters. She's going to laser engrave the shot of midlife magic onto it. And I had an artist commission. I commissioned an artist to do a print of Jules and Ronan, and then there's like a wolf in the background standing on a cliff, and they're on the beach. So bookmarks. There's going to be bookmarks, that I'm designing myself. Well, okay, that's a lie. I designed 2 of them. Regina Welling designed the other 2. She's like the wizard. She does all this stuff. She's so good with Photoshop and graphic design and all that stuff that I would love to have her brain. She's also extremely clever. She's actually writing a paranormal women's fiction book right now. The first book's called Rue the Slay, and I've been fortunate enough to read the advanced copies because she sent me the first couple chapters of it, and she's like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And I'm like, I'm going to totally just tell you like my readers do me, like, hurry up. I want to read the whole book, and she's almost finished with it. It's going to release either I think it's the end of this month it's releasing. So if you're looking for a good, clean paranormal, I think hers is going to be clean too. paranormal women's fiction novel, check hers out. She might actually, there might be a little bit of romance in it. There's definitely going to be romance in it, like the romantic element. I'm not sure if she's going to do anything beyond that, but I do know that I love her writing, and I don't understand why she doesn't have $1 million because her books are so amazing. And oh, really, Mike? I've heard they called there was a trend that went through. He says that um, paranormal cozies with a male main character tend to be boring. There was a thing that went through a while back called brosies. Now I hated the name, but that's what it was. And I often wonder if maybe because they called it a brosie, if that wasn't why they didn't take off. But it was a bunch of cozies with male characters. Everybody kind of got together as a group, and they thought it was kind of a trend, and I think people just wanted to see if it would work. And from what I've seen, I don't have a lot. Fears Destructor. Who's that by, Dustin? I haven't read. I don't think I've read that one. Dustin said he read a book called Good Fears Destructor. Is it a cozy or is it a? That sounds almost like a sci thriller, which I also love to read. Tim is the man behind the YouTube channel. He's the one that does all the technical stuff, and he's started making book covers. So he tends to lean toward that. The more, he likes the sci thriller type covers and that kind of stuff. Okay, so here's Tim made me a list of questions because I know it's hard to just think of some. Can you think of which one of my characters do you most closely relate to and why? And while you think about that, I'll tell you a little bit more about the new upcoming paranormal women's fiction book, Zombie Punches. It's so cool. It starts out, she's on the beach, she and Ronan are on the beach, and a pirate ship just pops up out of the water, a la Pirates of the Caribbean style. And it's like, these zombie women start crawling over the edge of it and wading towards shore, and Jules is kind of freaking out, but Brutus is there, the demon dog, and he's just kind of floating along, wagging his tail. He's okay. And so she figures if he's not freaking out, there was no reason for her to. But of course, there's zombies wandering up the beach. So Jamie, Noelle, because she doesn't suffer. Yeah, she doesn't suffer idiots at all. Very few of my characters tend to, because I have like a zero stupidity tolerance. I don't do, like I was talking earlier, I can't do the whole fluffy headed. I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad, because I know that some people are just like that. But I just can't do stupidity, especially not. Stupidity in doing stupid things, not in not being educated. There's so much stupidity out there. Like, I got cut off in traffic yesterday. I was just driving to my son's house, and there's this one spot down by Universal where you have to switch quickly. Like, you're coming off the highway ramp, and then you have to immediately cross the lane, and when the light turns, and take an immediate left. Someone almost killed me there. Like, no blinker. And then she had the nerve to blow her horn at me when I was the one in the turning lane. That kind of stupid, zero tolerance. And I have a little bit of road rage as it is. So I don't tend to go toward that end of town very often, because down by the attractions, the traffic is bananas down there. Oh, no, Kathy. You do not feel like a slug. To be honest, a lot of them do that. A lot of them are that way because I wish I were that way. So they're super achievers, because I sit here and think, I need to be doing this. I need to be running a coffee shop. I need to be not running a coffee shop. I could do that. I had a bakery when I was younger, and it kind of failed because Walmart moved in. And once Walmart came in with, $30 cakes. I couldn't top that. But no, they're super achievers because I think everything that we read in fiction, I want to be able to connect with. And I think more along the lines of that's what we'd like to be doing rather than, it's an adventure. Because if I just, if they were just kind of like me and tend to be the couch potato, then the book would be boring. So don't feel like they're overachievers. I'm trying to take you into their world so that you can have adventure through them. Mike, you love Max. For some reason he was supposed to be. He's talking about Max the donkey, Maximilian Beauregard, our best Maximilian Lancaster or Beauregard Lancaster the third is the donkey's name, and he had just planned to be this comical little side character. That's all he was supposed to be, but he has taken on a life of his own in those books, and I know Mike loves him, but I get a ton of email actually wanting a story about Max's, wanting Max's origin story and wanting to know how he's going to end up working it out because Max has had a lot of character growth as he's gone. He started as this pompous, self-centered jerk, which is what got him turned into a donkey to begin with. Never mess with a redheaded witch. But that's how it started. And then he just bloomed into this own character of his own to where I actually write storylines for him into the books now because everybody loves him so much. And he's turned into such big character. And so I specifically, he won't, for one thing in my head, he won't let me write him small. He demands probably more attention than I actually give him, but I can't write the whole book about him. So maybe people are onto something. Maybe I should write his origin story. Oh, Kathy, you like Max too. And you also like the sheriff, the baker, the ranch owner, and the witch. Oh, you're talking about Scout. I haven't written that's in the Haunted Lodge series. I haven't written much about him at all. I really do need to go back and finish that series. That series happened when I was in the. It seems like my life for the last 4 years has been this one giant train wreck, and every time I look up and see the light at the end of the tunnel, is another train. So this time I'm actually close enough to the end of the tunnel that I can see trees, so I know that it is not another train coming at me. And oh no, but what do you guys think of like characters that infuse their magic into normal things? Like Noelle needs it into her breads and that's why her stuff tastes so special. Do you feel like that's cheating? Like should there be some kind of disclaimer, hey, these are magic buns? And I'm looking down at the list of questions that Tim gave me. If I were to create a character based on you, what would be some of its features? What would be some of his or her features? Not, I mean, like their character traits. Give me your favorite thing about yourself because I know all of you have at least one wonderful thing about you. So tell me what that would be. What would your character, what would be their superpower, their, whether it's kindness or empathy? Cats. Kathy, you should see my cats. They are I adopted this one little. I never thought that I was a cat person until I got cats. Tim's the cat person, so we got two cats for him. Yeah, it makes it. I've thought that too. Why try to hide it? Brag about it. Say, hey, guess what? I can make you amazing muffins because I have magic, or I can help you move your furniture because I can make everything lighter. I think of that because I just helped my son move this past week, and holy cow, he lived on the third floor of his old apartment, and thank goodness his new apartment is on the bottom floor. We could just load it right in, but holy cow, I walked up and down 3 flights of stairs probably 30 or 40 times, and I'm too old for that crap. I can't. My knees were by the time I was done. Mike, blind faith. That I have to say, every morning Mike posts kind of a morning inspirational thing and he tags me in it. And even though I don't always respond, I always read them because he has the most, I don't want to say spiritual, it is kind of, but like he always says, regardless of what life throws at you, you know, chin up, you can take it, and they tend to be a little bit long, but I read every single one of them because sometimes in the morning, I just need this little jump start. And usually that's the first thing that pops up on my feed when I see it. And so thank you for that, Mike. I appreciate it. Oh yeah. I never thought of all the moonshine. Have you the yeah, it's on audio. The moonshine one from Keyhole Lake where they accidentally magicked the moonshine. I didn't. I enjoyed writing that, so maybe I should do more of that. Magic gone awry when people come into contact with it with unintended consequences. That was actually one of my favorite stories to write. I wrote that for an anthology, and I had so much fun writing it. Morning from Micronesia. And your 11 cats. Oh my goodness, Tim would love you. He loves. I have one that I adopted. Going back to the whole cat thing. I had one that we have two. We'd only intended to adopt one. And when the litter was born, the owner was at work. And when he came home, the mama cat hadn't chewed off the umbilical cord. So the whole litter of kittens was just wrapped up in this ball. And he rushed them to the vet. But unfortunately, two of them lost limbs. My kitty lost hers from here down on her rear paw. She doesn't have a paw on her right end, and then another one lost it, farther up. And the guy was like, nobody wants her. Nobody wants. He said, I'm keeping the one that lost most of her leg. He said, but nobody wants the little gray and white one. And oh, I have my door shut. They're usually creeping along behind me on my shelves. But when I said, I'll take her. I have no problem with that. So I went down and we got her pattern. Her coat pattern is beautiful. She's white with a gray pattern and she's got kind of a little hood. So I named her Diana after Wonder Woman. And then when I got there, she was curled up with this little gray, her sister, little gray kitten. And she got up and kind of spat at one of them who tried to come over and pick a fight with her, with Diana. So I'm like, okay, I can't separate them. So I ended up taking them both. And I named her Eris after the god of chaos. And I should have never, Diana is also the goddess of the hunt. So I should have never named these cats after goddesses because just this morning, Diana, my little goddess of the hunt, drug a lizard into the house. I cannot even tell you how many lizards she has brought me. Look, mommy, here's a lizard for you. All I wanted was his head and tail. You can have the rest. And Eris, she'll sit and I have a little toothpick cup. She'll sit and pluck the toothpicks out of them one by one and just throw them on the bar. And she'll do it while she's staring at me. Like she has no shame. She's doing it on purpose just to create chaos. So you have 11 cats. How did you end up with 11 cats? I've got to know. Did you just kind of like me? You meant to get one and you got two, and then you meant to get another one and you got two more, or did you have kittens? And I have more questions. What is your least favorite of my series? And you're not going to hurt my feelings. I seriously want to know this question because knowing stuff like this, really, they're working animals. What do they do? Cats here are working animals. I'm curious. I've never heard of that. Now I'm going to have to research it too. Oh, thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. Which one, like if I gave you a list of here's a new one in every series, which one would you read last? Oh, Port Rats Islands. Okay. I totally get that because I grew up on a farm and they kept away the rats in the farm. That's we had barn cats just for that, because the rats would get into the feed and they, they poop in it and they carry diseases and just ugh. So yeah, okay, I totally get what you're saying. And I used to work down on Captiva Island, and I tell you what, there were rats down there that were, you didn't just shoo them away with a broom, you beat them off the I almost had to beat them off the dumpsters. They were terrifying. So, but they wouldn't let us bring cats in. I told them, hey, it was a resort that I was bartending at. And I'm like, why don't we get a few cats? And, I'll gladly feed them. I'll take care of them, but get some cats and let them out there, 2 or 3 of them. And they wouldn't. Oh, Jamie, thank you too. I think if I had to pick a least favorite, I don't think I have one either. I guess I kind of created them because I'm interested in all of them. So if I had to pick my favorite right now, it's definitely either the Jules world or the Enchanted Coast world. And I have a new series coming up too that is a combination of Jules and the Enchanted Coast. It's going to be a paranormal women's fiction book or series, but it's also set. She's going to be working on a resort. So she's not going to work on one. She's going to own a little island, a little place on the island, and she's going to be running it. So it's going to be kind of a combination. She'll either be owning it. She'll either own it or be working at it. I haven't quite sketched it out yet, but that's coming later, probably in the fall will be the first book in that series. I can't seem to get away from the beach because I live here, so I'm at the beach a lot, but maybe I should try to set one in Montana or somewhere. I guess you're right. Oh, Jamie, you're excited about that one. Cool. Yes. Are you kind of a fan of the paranormal women's fiction, the Champagne Witches one now? The Shot of Midlife Magic? I'm curious to know. It's hard. It's because sometimes it's hard to pick. I try to write a book in a series at least every 6 months, which means that I can only write in 6 series. It sounds like a lot, but I've got so many ideas in my head. I've got a document in Word that's just full of ideas. I could have not another idea from this day forward and still have enough to write for the rest of my life. But unfortunately, they don't. It doesn't work that way. Or fortunately, I know a lot of people that have a problem coming up with series problems. So my hair's really flat. I'm sorry. Look, definitely a little witchy today. I am okay. So I'm 52. So a lot of things with technology kind of surprise me sometimes. And it's been several months, but there's this one person that I watch on YouTube, and she's my age. And I was so disappointed to find out that she was using filters, because I was disappointed and not disappointed. It actually made me feel kind of better because I thought, wow, next to her, I look ragged. And then come to find out it was all filters. Okay, so Karen, I'm curious. You don't have access to readable books, like physical books or ebooks? Because that's actually something I had planned to include Micronesia in my shipping stuff from my direct website and for the Kickstarter. So is there some reason that you can't import audiobooks? Or is it just because it's, an island and it's hard to get stuff to you? I'm kind of curious what the reasoning is there, if you're allowed to say it. So next. Oh, the internet sucks. Yeah, being stuck on an island. I can relate to that. I don't Captiva. I only had service. If I was lucky, I'd have 3 bars. And a lot of times I didn't even have that. I'd get friends calling, we tried to call you all day. Why didn't you answer us? Because I had no service. I'm stuck out on the very, very tip of this long peninsula like island. And it wasn't even, it kind of folds up the coast of Florida, south coast of Florida, but it's far enough out that there are no cell towers. And so, I'd find myself out going like this, trying to get, on the top. I'd go to the top of the resort, trying to get a phone signal if I could. But they had Wi-Fi for all the guests, of course. Oh wow, shipping stuff's hard too. That would suck. That would really suck. That would trying to get something shipped in. What about Amazon? Do you have Amazon over there? We're learning stuff about Micronesia today. What else did Tim have me ask here? Okay, this is a good one actually. If you could have one thing from Okay, if you could have one thing from any of my worlds, what would it be? Whether it's a superpower or Noel's shop or the little bar that Jules owns, Ronan the hot shifter. What would it be if you could have one thing from any of my series? What would it be? And while we're doing that, I will tell you, I said it in the very beginning, but next up in order is Demons in Discord. Magic. Me too, Mike. If I would love to have magic. I feel like I could do, you take Max. There you go, Mike. Jamie already laid claim to Max. she had dibs. Or Jamie, if you're a guy, I'm sorry, you've got kind of a name that I'm not sure. Ah, Karen, that's awesome. The sense of community that I develop. That actually makes me feel really good because I try, and I'll let you guys in on a little secret. Keyhole Lake. I grew up in a very small West Virginia town, so very similar to how Keyhole is. But there were a lot of not good things about it. So, I mean, oddly enough, crime in small towns has really gone up over the past several years, the past probably decade and a half. And it's mostly because everything is not violent crime. There's been one murder there in like the last 10 years. There was a couple lately. But what I did was I took that town and I took away all the bad things and left nothing but the good, except for Hank, of course, and his henchmen. You had to leave some bad people because somebody has to die. But I took all the good things when I was building that town that I loved about my hometown, and I kept it, and I got rid of all the other stuff. So that's how Keyhole Lake came about. Even their courthouse is kind of based on, where Sherry Lynn and Corley had their knockdown drag out. That's still one of my favorite scenes I've ever written, by the way. Okay, Jamie. I just wanted to make sure. I actually had a guy once who I did not realize was a guy. He had his name had kind of a female spelling. It was a neutral name, but it had a female spelling. And I addressed him through emails. He had emailed me, and I addressed him thinking he was a woman because of the way his name was spelled for a long time. And I felt so bad when I found out that it was a guy. It was like, oh, so I always like to just kind of make sure. Like Terry's another thing, because a lot of women that spell, their name's Teresa, they spell it with most women spell Terry Terri, but a lot of them don't. So when I get a Terry in, you never quite know either. Ever since I started doing this Kickstarter, people are blowing my phone. Like I've got salesmen blowing my phone up. So if we hear vibrating on the side, that's what it is. So what other questions? Oh, can you guys think of any quotes? Because I'm actually making keychains, or not keychains, bookmarks. So I'm looking forward to favorite quotes, if you know any. But I know it's hard to pull a quote off the top of your head. But if you would like to go back, like just leave something in the comments later on that, because I know it's tough. It's really tough to pull it off the top of your head. But if you would go back and leave some of your favorite comments and some of your favorite things about my books in the bottom, because I'm thinking I'm going to be making a lot more merchandise. I'm actually right now making handmade candles for this Kickstarter. Making them myself because I love to do stuff like that. So that'll be one of the things featured in the Kickstarter. The one about Max said, the one about Max and never making a redheaded witch mad. He learned his lesson on that. I would say it's been what, 300 years that happened in the, no, I think that happened in the 1500s. So it's been 500 or 600 years now. He's been stuck, but he never learned his lesson. It's his own fault. They figured out, Addie did, that there was probably a trigger, and if he would just trip the trigger, he might be able to revert back to a guy. I don't know if that's his destiny, though. I don't know if he's meant to. I mean, if he spent that long as a donkey, how would he even react to being a man again? Because it's a whole different ball of wax. He likes sleeping in the barn with the dogs. How would that, he'd still like scotch, I'm assuming. But yeah, wow, it's getting ready to storm hard here. Either that or there's an airplane going by. Oh, I saw this really weird stuff the other night. We live near an army base, so they must have been doing some testing, but we kept seeing all these weird lights in the sky, and we're like, it's the aliens coming to rescue us. Yeah, he's just a poor help. He is. I don't know if you'd call him helpless or not. He's pretty snappy, but at his core, he's lonely. Especially since Shelby left and the girls aren't hanging out anymore. And now he's got his new dog, and so I had to, because Max's life had kind of lost, because he'd lost so much out of his life. I had to give him a pet. I had to give him not a pet, but a companion. I had to get him somebody else to hang out with because, he lost Wiz, and then he lost, Shelby, and the girls moved away, and his, the farm was suddenly empty. So when Noelle would leave and Gabby's not there, poor Max is stuck there alone. So I had to bring him in a buddy. Yeah, Karen, he is definitely snarky. He's got, well, that's why he's still in the situation he's in. He just can't. I think that's just part of who he is. Of course, I guess it was the rogue part of him that got him in trouble. He was, should have been stepping out when he should have been staying home. So, well, guys, we've got a few more minutes. Does anybody have any questions? I'm looking to see if I've got any more questions here. This is a good one. If you could, it's like switch. I know everybody's married, but if you could, like, be friends, or or more, with one character out of my book, who would it be? If you could either just hang out with them for a day, or like be buddies, or maybe go on a date with them, who would it be? Dating seems like such a word to me because I'm 52, but until just a year ago I was single. So, and it still feels weird to call Tim my boyfriend because I'm 52. It seems odd, but it is what it is. Oh, I got a new speaker. Can you guys hear me okay? I should have probably asked that in the beginning. My old one sounded really tinny, so I'm hoping that the new one is better. Yeah, Mike, I wouldn't mind hanging out with. That series is still everybody's favorite. No matter what, and it's fine too, because no matter if I'm feeling down, I'll either go and write on Noelle's stuff, or I'll write on the Enchanted Coast books. And I actually had somebody suggest recently that I maybe end the Enchanted Coast series because it's kind of weirdly one of my lower performing series. But I can't. That's serious. I love that series. I am not going to discontinue it because I know that it has a lot of. I know people love it. I have a lot of followers. It's just for some reason doesn't seem to appeal to everybody. So, the suggestion was, well, maybe you should cut that series, and bring in a new one. But I'm like, I think the people that love that series might come and tar and feather me if I did that. Oh yeah, the water sitting in that'd be really cool. That actually came to me, the idea of the water bar that hovers over the in the Enchanted Coast that hovers over the ocean so that the mermaids and stuff can come drink. That actually came to me when I was working on out on the island on Captiva Island. I thought, what'd be really cool? Because they had them like they had one of the pools had a drinking area where you could kind of just come up and order your drink. But I thought, wouldn't that be really cool if you had like this floating deck and the bartender just walked out on it and you could sit in the water and take orders? Ah, Mike, I like that too. And in fact, a lot of mine that wasn't in the beginning having my worlds cross over and being kind of set in the same worlds. That wasn't intentional. The way that came about is each character would become, like in Keyhole, each character kind of became their own person. And then, Noelle goes on vacation and she meets Corey. And so Corey now needs her own stuff. At that time, Corey had like one or two. But then Corey is more closely related because we got Corey, the Enchanted Coast, the Soul Keepers um, series, and Mila's series. Those are all set in the same world, and they all came about because of Destiny. Destiny, she had these cousins, and actually, I think that's not right. That came about because of Corey. Corey's novels were first, and then Destiny just begged for her own because she kept talking about this cousin that she had that worked down on the ocean, and so on the Gulf of Mexico. So that's when Destiny came about. And then, of course, Destiny and Mila are right there. And that's how Mila came about. And then Mila ran into Kira and started helping her. And then twisted around to Shelby. So then that brought the Keyhole Lake world into it too. Never in the series, just find the characters. Yeah, and do a new mixing thing. Yeah, I don't want to end the Enchanted Coast, at least not yet. There's only what 6 books in the series or 5. Oh my goodness, I've lost count. But I'm not ready to end it yet. I love that series, and even though they're shorter, they're actually they were intended originally to be longer, but then they kind of ended up the stories were just done at that point. A book to me should be exactly as long as it takes to tell the story and no shorter and no longer. So there's no need to pad things up if the story's already told. There's no need to fluff it up. I mean, of course, it would help me with Amazon because with Amazon, I get paid by the page, but sometimes the story's just over at that point. So, well, we are coming up on 6 o'clock. Does anybody have any more questions? Because I know everybody's busy. What time is it in Micronesia right now? Just out of curiosity. I have no way to scroll up or down. Oh, I didn't know Alexa had a reader for it. Okay, so it's not like 5 a.m. It's your coffee time on Thursday. Okay, so you're that far ahead of us then, because it's right now here. It's 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock, excuse me, on Wednesday. Is that right? Wednesday, yeah. I lose track, but yeah, it's 6 in the evening on Wednesday. So you're quite a bit of the way ahead of us then. See, I have an Echo. I don't have it set up. It's just one of those things that I haven't because I'm not an Apple person, and so I never kind of got into it. And then when Amazon stepped in to doing all the smart stuff, I just never caught on to it. I should. I should, because I use my phone a lot. I use my phone. Hey, add this to my shopping list. But I don't even have a smartwatch. I wish I did. I see everybody else with one and they're tapping it, going tap 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 like this, and I want one just so I can have one. My son loves his. He's on it. Yeah, he's checking it all the time. But um, if if we don't have any other questions, then I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. And I really appreciate you guys stopping in. This has been absolutely fabulous. Again, I've missed you guys, and please, 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 hope put out positive thoughts for me for the Kickstarter so that I can get more audiobooks made. I am so excited about it, and of course you got all these insecurities that it's going to flop, it's not going to do any good, but you have a great rest of your week too, Mike. So anyway, if the Kickstarter does, thank you for stopping by, everybody. It was great to see everybody. And I look forward to, I'll do another one here before too long, because you guys seem to enjoy these and I love these. I'm always afraid nobody's going to show up. And then we end up, having people, and so it works. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off, and you guys have a fabulous evening. Morning, Karen, you have a fabulous morning or fabulous day. And I'll see you guys the next time. And until then, happy listening and happy reading.